everyone. Welcome to the Success Without Sacrifice show. On today's episode, we are going to talk about how our clients are losing between 8 and 20 pounds in just 8 weeks. Let's get rid of that executive muffin top, ladies, and how you can too. Stay tuned. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Success Without Sacrifice show. My name is Kate Byers, and I am here with our Director of Performance Coaching, Jadine Cleary. And today we're talking about health. Success is no fun if we don't have our health, right? And so we want to share with you some of the strategies that a lot of our clients are using to actually lose weight and take off all those executive stress pounds really without doing much at all, because the last thing you need is one more thing on your plate. Do you agree? All right, let's dig in. And Jadine, as someone who has comes from the world of sport, as someone who has coached athletes at some of the top games in the world, this has got to be right up your alley. So I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to hear what you have to say today.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Me too.
All right, good. All right, so let's dig in. So one of the things that a lot of ambitious women, we come from a place where I would say many have been either in some sort of performance sport. A lot of our clients, I know, they're like, oh my God, I used to be a college athlete. Now I don't even, whatever. Now I don't even walk out my door. I roll out of bed to my phone. And I know for myself, like, health has always been really important to me. So success isn't just the amount of money we make. Success isn't just the job we have. It's also, being able to feel good in your skin. I think we've all experienced or a lot of us have experienced the weight gain that comes with stress, that comes with years of head down at a desk. You're not getting up, you're not moving around. I mean, I can remember there were times in my career where I was so busy, I couldn't even stop to go to the bathroom. Like, I would literally have a notebook and start going in the ladies' room, and somebody would be like, oh my God, Kate, we need you in this meeting. And then I was holding it. Like, that's just so unhealthy. And I lived that way for years. So if you can relate, this episode is for you. The other thing that starts to creep up on us besides the weight is autoimmune. A lot of stressed out, high performance women will end up with early menopause, autoimmune diseases, and a lot of those things are being triggered from stress and from diet because nobody has time to go make a salad. It's much easier to go to the candy machine and shove a candy bar in your mouth and keep on going than it is to stop and make a salad. Or I can remember times like, all I had to do was go down the elevator and walk into the cafeteria and get a salad. And even that felt like, I did not have time. And look, ladies, we're all smart enough to know that if we ate more salads and fewer candy bars, we'd probably be at a more ideal weight. But a lot of times what happens is we get into the groove of, I'm just going to call it weight loss, of weight loss, trying to look, fit and trim, or just happy with our skin. You don't have to be a size 0 for God's sakes, but just feeling good about putting your clothes on in the morning and walking in the office. And we get started on these programs where the weight starts to come off, we start to feel better, and we're like, okay, never again. I am never again going to go back to cheeseburgers and pizza. And then what happens, right? Something blows up at the office. A project fails. You lose somebody on your team. Your boss asks you to step in to do the extra. And before you know it, here comes the cheeseburgers and pizzas all over again. Okay, so how do we get off this ugly, frustrating cycle that really puts blemishes not only on our energy and our well-being, but also on our reputation? Because like it or not, humans will prejudge us. And, one of the most unfortunate parts of not feeling comfortable in your skin is that others can sense that, right? If you're shifting in your skirt because it's too tight, if you don't like the way you look when you walk in the room, other people sense that, and they sense that something's off with you. And then that can also work against you as you're trying to influence, whether it's across a negotiating table, making a sale to leadership, and that type of thing. So I think the first thing we want to talk about, well, Jadine, I'm going to ask you maybe to educate us a little bit, like anything you'd like to add about like stress eating or some of the things you see working with the women we do.
To the point about physiologically and how stress eating happens and why it happens so much for high performers is because as high performers, so much of our energy has been spent on coping. And we cope for so long that we start to get out of touch with our physiology. we actually don't even know what our physiology is telling us anymore because we're so good at shoving down our feelings. And to your point, Kate, we'll just stay for one more meeting. And so then what happens is, as we're exhausted and we're wanting to reward ourselves later, we are like, you know what? I deserve to have this cookie, or I deserve to have this bag of chips. And then because we don't know how to listen to our physiology anymore, the one cookie turns into 15, or the bag of chips, which should be a small one, ends up being a lot more. So there's so much more to this topic than just trying to use more willpower, because we're really good as high performers at having willpower, but it's going to run out at some point. And this is why we need to learn a whole different strategy for how to tap into emotionally what's happening for us, and actually coming up with a strategy that's doable. And to your point, Kate, one that we can navigate with the ups and downs of the stresses that happen in our life.
For sure. And one of the things that happens a lot when we first start talking with women on the phone or with our clients is we'll try to figure out like a timestamp. So when did you start gaining weight, or when did you feel like your health started to go downhill? And it almost always correlates with some major job issue. Like, oh, that was 7 years ago when I first took on this job, or that was 10 years ago when I first moved into this industry, or, oh, that was 3 years ago when da 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 da. And it's really interesting how they can even start seeing that correlation between the job and the health issue, right? And so we know it's stress related. And what Jadine's really talking about is how, as high performers, as ambitious women, we have this unique DNA. That's why I'm always saying we have to train our DNA, because we are used to having a very high pain threshold. I mean, since I was a kid, I don't know about you who are listening, people would say like, oh my gosh, how do you do it? How do you take all that on? How, whether it was in high school, it was in college, people are like, oh my gosh, you carry that big of a college load. And I'm like, yeah, don't you? It just didn't occur to me that what I was doing was really exceptional, because obviously we live inside our own, lives. And so understand, ladies, that you already have a very high threshold for what I call pain, right? And so that has, again, allowed you to be successful, but it's also allowed you to be successful in many unhealthy ways too, because where the normal person has a shut-off valve, yours is missing. And that is why we are working ourselves literally to death. I mean, we've literally worked with clients who are like, oh yeah, when I had cancer, they prided themselves in having cancer treatment, on Thursdays, so that on Fridays when they felt sick from, the chemo, they would, only have to miss like a half day of work in the afternoons. And it's like, okay, come on, ladies. And I've been there, believe me, I've been there. But that's what I'm talking about, like this high threshold of pain. We will just keep taking on more and more and more, well past what the normal human can do. But what you have to start understanding, and this is the first strategy, is you have to understand that this strategy of pushing past your pain threshold, it no longer works. Okay? Because if you're listening to the show, what you're listening to is saying, I want to have a big life. I want to have a big job. I want to get a big result all across my life. And in order to do that, you cannot keep working the way your DNA wants to, because your DNA wants to keep pushing and pushing and pushing past the normal pain thresholds. And that is not going to work. Okay. It's actually the reverse is true. Now, your fear, your go-to is going to be, oh my gosh, if I'm not pushing at all times, I will become a couch potato. I will lose my job. I will no longer get results. No one will like me, da, 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 da. That is not true. You have to start playing a peak performance game, right? You are now in the NBA. You are now in a top athletic organization. Think about it. But the problem is you're still playing ball like you did in high school, right? And you can't just like barrel through and get all the bruises and knocks and all these sort of things. Like high performance top athletes, like they are learning to care for themselves. And what happens, ladies, is when you start to care for yourself, you actually get a better result in the office. You actually get a better result at work, because you're going to have energy. You're going to have mental clarity. You're going to make decisions so freaking quickly. I didn't know I could make decisions as quick as I do now. Like literally within seconds, things that I would have had to go on and like, talk to my husband about, or talk to, my office mate about, or bounced off of someone, all of that. It's like, nope, here's the decision. It's really clear. I'm done. Let's move on. So you actually end up saving yourself time, ladies, by putting some time first into you and your health. So the first thing is you've got to train your DNA. Jadine, anything you want to add to that piece?
Yeah, I did want to add to that. So one of the components that stands out for high performing athletes and longevity of performance. So the ability to perform well and the longevity of it is the periodization of rest and periodization of taking care of yourself. And what we've found is over time, those athletes and coaches who push and push and push and push, oh, I'm injured, keep pushing, let's push through that boundary. They end up staying injured, never fully recovering, and then never being able to realize their full potential of all of their years of training because they burn out early. And when you're at high performance, the highest levels for a long period of time, the most educated and experienced actually start to look down on those coaches and look down on those athletes because they know it's not sustainable. So if you're an executive operating in that same space, this is exactly where you're at. You're burning out because you don't know another way to do it. This is the challenge. So when you can learn how to periodize these components for yourself and learn how to start to take care of yourself and listen to the DNA that you've been trying to tell to be quiet because you just want to have the results, this is when things start to turn around and you start to gain your own traction to start to feel and operate how you want to and at peak performance.
Oh, I love that. And that's so true. And this is a big piece about what we teach too, is that you have to understand how to meet your needs. And again, as a high achiever, you tend to be an all or nothing girl, right? Like we're all in or we're all out. It's like, if I'm not going to go to the gym and get an hour and a half sweat on in my perfect little outfit with my trainer, why bother going at all, right? And so that is not the mentality that's going to serve you. Or I'm going to work until Saturday, and then I'm going to be, what do you call it? Like the weekend warrior or whatever. And you're going to go to the gym for 5 hours on Saturday and get it all in or whatever. Those things do not serve you at this level. Okay. And I want to keep impressing that on you at this level. You have to understand that you've elevated into a level of living and working. So it is going to require you to change how you operate. And what a lot of women are looking for is like, oh gosh, can you just help me manage my calendar so I can get my to-do list under control? And I'm like, well, that's not going to help you live a better life. You have to actually elevate how you approach your life. And this is a big piece of it. Now, when we talk about needs, one of our intrinsic human needs, we have 7, is autonomy. Okay, autonomy is personal and social freedom. And a lot of people think autonomy means I get to do what I want when I want. No, that was given to you by our very independent culture of first world countries. Autonomy means I have personal freedom to move about the cabin and social freedom. No one's telling me, who to get married to. Nobody's telling me what time, I get to eat or what I can eat. And just think of these things that, in some areas of the world, those are dictated to you. Okay. And that's a very tough way to live. And so there's suffering in that. So what's happening, ladies, is because of our DNA, because we always put our career first, we're lacking autonomy. Because after a while, your career owns you, right? You're not in charge of your career anymore. You're not building your career anymore. Your career owns you. You walk in the office and it's like, oh my God, who's got me triple booked for meetings? Or I can't even go to the bathroom because so many people are lined up at my office door. It's insane. What that is it's actually hurting your intrinsic need for autonomy, which is you have to build in some freedom throughout your day. It does not mean you have to go to the spa or you have to get your nails done. We're not talking about that. But think about little ways to get autonomy built in through your day. It could be, you're on your commute to work and you pop in your earbuds and you're listening to some kick-ass music instead of, I don't know, talking to your EA about the meetings for the day, or God forbid, listening to, another leadership podcast, blah, 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 blah. I mean, obviously listen to ours, but you know what I'm saying? No, but seriously, like listen to some cool music, It could be during the day saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to be 5 minutes late for this meeting. And you run outside and you just let the sun get on your face. And it seems silly. You're like, really, Kate? And I'm like, I don't know. You got to figure out your own strategies. But what happens in a fairly short period of time, there is some conditioning here, is your biology starts to go, oh, you are kind of in control, aren't you? Thank you. And you start to feel just a bit more energy, a bit more like, oh, you got the wind at your back, a little bit less of like, I'm grinding and I'm grinding. And this is critical. And what we've seen with over 1,000 women that we've worked with is when you start building in even just a tiny bit of autonomy, we haven't even cut back your hours or anything, you start to lose the weight. Because, as Jadine was saying, you're no longer going home and nurturing yourself and satiating yourself. Well, I worked a 14-hour day. I deserve whatever, a cheesecake, a pizza, a glass of, a bottle of wine. So you're no longer treating yourself with food. So that is heavily attached to autonomy. Not like Jadine said, not more willpower, not more shame. Why didn't you stay on your diet? Why did you fall off? It's just about filling a cup versus depleting a cup, which is let's take even more away from you and make you feel even worse by not even giving you food that you love. Does that make sense?
It makes a ton of sense. And Kate, when we know what we should be doing, so cognitively, I know I should be eating healthier, I know I should be working out, but we're not actually doing the behavior we know will serve us, then what we know is it's more than just the brain working against us. There's a physiological need that's not being met. So to your point, it goes so much deeper than what we tend to think. So if that's happening for you, where you're feeling like, I don't know what comes over me, and then all of a sudden it spirals out of control, it's because your biology is working against you. So once we start to do those things that Kate's talking about, there's such a stronger movement towards how you want to feel and operate because your biology is helping to support cognitively what you know you want to see happen. So it becomes so much more powerful. And when we first start to work with individuals, sometimes they're like, okay, now I'm going to work with you. Everything in my life is going to change. And now that diet that I've been wanting to do or that cleanse, now I'm going to sign up for it too. And they're surprised when, the first coaching session we're saying, you know what? You can do that if you want, but we're going to make a different suggestion because here's what we found. And we have them start to focus on the do behaviors of getting some autonomy and slices in their life rather than the don't behaviors. And they're surprised how quickly they gain the traction to feeling better. And then all of a sudden the overeating and the stress eating stops on its own.
I love that, the do behaviors and the don't behaviors. Yeah, because the way human needs work is you can't just stop doing something. You have to replace it with a different strategy. And so what we're saying is, let's start creating a strategy where you're getting some autonomy, and then the strategy of nurturing yourself through food starts to dissipate. Now, the other need that is imperative that you have, and ladies, because of our DNA, which needs, again, to be trained at this level, is flow, what we call rest, leisure, flow. Leisure is not a hobby. I can't tell you, I have never had a hobby. I never will have a hobby. I love my work. I work a lot and I like doing that. And if I'm not doing that, I'm usually with my kids. Maybe my dogs are my hobby. But I'm not saying you need to go out and start learning how to play golf. That could be too much pressure. Leisure and flow is resting the mind. So think about something simple. Like sometimes what I will do for flow is I will just putz around on my phone with some silly little game like my boys are playing, and I'll just play it for 5 minutes. And the whole time in that 5 minutes, think about flow as this. It's an immersion. When you're immersed in this thing, whatever it is for you, it could be a great book, it could be a girl magazine, it could be whatever it is for you. Even in that 5 minutes, my mind can escape and can let go of all the inputs I'm getting all day long. Meetings. Everybody needs me to make a decision. Everybody needs something from me, blah, blah, blah. And in that 5 minutes, I'm playing this silly little game on my phone. I'm getting leisure and flow. Now, if you're not building that in throughout your day, guess what's going to happen? Maybe you're not nurturing yourself with food, but what does food do for us? When you were eating that cheesecake, look, cheesecake's my thing, right? I'm eating that cheesecake, it's giving me flow. My mind is finally resting. I'm getting all of the sugar high and all that great stuff. And there's just this sense of just flow, just for that few minutes I'm eating cheesecake. Now, I think we can all agree that me playing, Plants vs. Zombies or whatever I'm playing on my phone is still not a high quality way to live your life. But if I'm doing it for 5 minutes, that's a better 5-minute strategy than eating cheesecake for sure, right? And so that starts to let the mind process. The other thing I like to do for flow is, and I will take off during the day to do this throughout the day, it could be 10 minutes. I might take the dog for a walk for 10 minutes, down to the end of the block and back. It might be, when I'm in the office, it might be just going outside and sitting on a park bench and really sitting there and just looking around and going, oh my gosh, look at that bird. Wow, there's an airplane in the sky. It's disconnecting your mind, ladies. This is huge. It's biological. So your biology is going to get its needs met no matter what. It's either going to do it ineffectively with cheesecake and wine, or it's going to do it effectively with you choosing strategies that create what your biology needs, just like what Jadine said. So the second reason or the second strategy is to really get your needs met and understanding how to play with autonomy and flow. Autonomy and flow. These are inherent. If we didn't have these things in our life, we wouldn't exist. They have evolved to help us survive and thrive as humans.
Well, and to the point about thriving, as high performers, we want to drive. So what's so compelling about what I hear you say, Kate, is you're giving the secret sauce as to how do I continue to drive my life and drive my state. So I'm showing up in a way that's most powerful for me. And if I can understand my 7 needs and validate them, and I can drive, where do I get some of these met in ways throughout the day that serve me, then I'm back in the driver's seat. Then no longer at the end of the day am I worried about flipping into Facebook because I might lose 2 hours in it, because I'm actually doing an ineffective strategy for leisure later, where if I can get more of them met during the day with a higher quality strategy, then I can go and check it for 20 minutes and it's fun and I can go about my day. Yes. So this enables you to drive intelligently and with the ability to have it repeatable.
Yes. And what's so critical that we do, ladies, is that you're doing it even when life is good and when life is not good. Because what we see happen is we all have, I call it the roller coaster, right? At this level, you're riding a roller coaster. When you're up, man, life is good. Get out of my way. Everything's going good until it's not. And then all of a sudden we're on the down. And so what happens is we let go of these things when life is good, AKA, and then we hit that down cycle where there's a huge challenge in front of us. There's a fire at work, the carpet's been pulled out from under you, the whole thing. And now all of a sudden you're scrambling to figure out what to do because you haven't conditioned this. And this is why we're also always talking to you all about conditioning and peak performance and living at this level. This is not about a new, how you're going to, organize your desk for the week. That can come and go. Who cares if your office is messy or whatever? But this is about who you are, and you have to condition it. So when life is great, you're conditioning in the autonomy and the flow. When life is challenging you, then you're leaning in that even more. And I'm maybe even doing a little bit more autonomy and flow in order to make sure I have the energy, the perspective, the calmness, the peace of mind, that I can move forward through whatever challenge and not all of a sudden start eating cheesecake and blow, my healthy eating, and not all of a sudden put my kids on the sidelines and say, hey, I don't have time for you right now. Mommy's got a big project at work. When I continue to get my human needs met, no matter what challenge I'm faced with, I'm able to say, okay, wait a minute. Okay, got it. Now I'm going to move forward. Now, my workouts may change. I may not be doing an hour workout. I might be doing a 10-minute workout, or I might have to do 3 10-minute workouts during the day. It doesn't matter, because I know what I'm doing is I am tuning into my human biology and giving myself what I need. Now, there's one more need that we should talk about really quick, and you've heard me in other shows talk about esteem. Okay, esteem is it's more that psychological component. It has much more of a psychological component than a physical, but it's related. And so a lot of the reason we are working so hard, ladies, and we're doing things like hurting our health or our families and things like that for the sake of a job, even though we know that's crazy, is for esteem. Because what our job does for us is it gives us this sense of efficacy. It's a piece of feeling, part of its meaning and purpose of feeling like, here I am doing something great in the world and I'm having an impact, but it's also helping us feel valued, right? Our identity is closely aligned with our work. So if your identity, which is who you are and why you are valuable in this world, is tied to your work, and then something happens. Like there was a time once when the company I was working at, they went through this huge management change. And basically one of the leaderships, the senior leaders came in and said, Kate, we're not sure what to do with you. We're not sure like where you're going to go. You've got the weekend to figure it out, and you've got to show up on Monday with a recommendation. That's panic, right? That's survival. I went into pure survival, didn't know anything about my needs. I went home that night. I ate an entire cheese pizza, like large. Like, let me just tell you, my stomach is not that big. And then I ate an entire family size, like you know what I mean? Like family size, like huge bag of peanut M&Ms. And I sat there and it was Friday night, like 8 hours, like into the wee hours, writing what I could do and why I was important. And here's my white paper about how I'm going to create this new division for the company, a new department, and I could be the VP of this and blah, blah, blah. Because it was survival. And I had no idea that this was tapping into my esteem. So what did the food do? The food was that mechanism that I was using to help elevate this survival mechanism. There were times when I was so stressed out, like I would drive to the grocery store at 11 o'clock at night and sit in the parking lot and eat an entire box of Little Debbie's. Like all the snack cakes, like 12 of them. No one has any business doing that ever. But that was what that was the artificial strategy I was using because of this esteem piece. I didn't know how to meet my value in any other way other than being great at my job. So anytime I felt like there was a threat to my greatness at work, guess where I went to? Food. And when you start understanding that you're valuable for who you are, not what you do, which is a key piece of what we're helping the women we work with recalibrate, the eating thing just falls away. And I think, what is the average, JD? I mean, I think a lot of our clients, like it's like anywhere between 8 pounds to, I think to how much?
60. There's one of our clients lost 60 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah. Really? Oh my gosh. Did you all hear that? 60 pounds. That's amazing. That's amazing. Oh, I know who you're talking about now. And it wasn't like she was doing anything drastic either.
That was her biggest celebration. She's like, I never thought this would happen. And you told me when I started, this might be a possibility. And she's like, I'm here to report it is. And I'm keeping it off. This is the thing. It's not just let's join and lose some weight quickly. Because again, we apply our willpower. It's learning a whole new way of operating. And often our clients say to us, there was the old me and the new me. Here's the new me. And the beautiful thing about that distinction is literally they are changing how they see themselves and how they operate. And from this place, I was just going to share very quickly. I was coaching one of our clients yesterday, and she's a partner at one of the big 4 accounting firms. And she was bringing up a similar example, Kate, to what you just shared. And she said one of her top clients was starting to question whether or not her and her team were the right people within the agency to handle this account. And she said the old me would have gone home and drank a bottle of wine and, fretted about it all night. She said the new me picked up the phone, asked specific questions, resourced myself, decided that, we aren't the team and moved it over. And then she said, and you know what? I think tonight the girls are at my, mother-in-law's. I'm going to go for a date with my husband.
I love that. I love that. That's what success should feel like, ladies. It should not feel like you're spending tons and tons of energy to get yourself out of bed every day, put all your energy into your work. And then at the end of the day, there's nothing left for you, your health, your loved ones, or to just enjoy your success. It does not feel good to come home at night and go, oh my God, another day. And I had absolutely no control over my day. And now I'm just going to sit here and drink a bottle of wine and veg out in front of the TV. And believe me, I have been there. I lived that way for 15 years and it sucks. It sucks. At this point, you should be in control of your success. Success should be by design, and that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about calendar management or, some new boundaries at work. We're talking about you changing how you operate, how you see things, how you get your needs met so that you are operating in such a peak performance state that all of the challenges do not suck your energy out and you actually stay very, very resourced and healthy. All right, so I'm going to wrap that episode here. Hopefully this episode has inspired you, ladies. And if you are someone who has struggled with your health, you've struggled with your weight, you've tried all the different things, and your career keeps getting in the way, I want to encourage you and invite you to book a call with our team. In the space of 45 minutes to an hour, we are going to chat with you about your career, what's getting in the way of your health, what's working, what's not. And look, if we can help you, we're delighted to share and what that looks like. But if not, we have a ton of other resources. So I want you to go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call. That's goodlifeinstitute.org/call. And pick a time that works for you. One of our coaches will meet you on the call, and in the space of 45 to 60 minutes, we'll chat with you. It's confidential, and honestly, it is just such a great value for you to just have someone else to lean on for a moment who gets you, who has nothing else, has no other interest than to hear you out and see what's going on for you and help you get the resources you need. Okay. So I invite you to book a call today, not next week, not next month, not 3 months. Let's stop holding our breath to live, ladies, and let's start living great lives together. All right. I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Hi, thanks for tuning into today's show. If you want to subscribe, you can do that by clicking the little picture of me over there. If you want to book a breakthrough call, which you absolutely should do, you can click the button below or go to goodlifeinstitute.org/call to book an appointment to speak to us. I'll see you on the next show.